Imagine graduating just out of college and landing as a product designer in a company. Not just as any junior product designer, but as a founding designer in a medtech company. That is a story of Dharanitharan, whom we have today. Just a year ago, when he was around 21 years old, he has finished his engineering degree. And shortly after that, he was pursuing UX design. He has met me at my mentorship program, and within a few months, he has landed an amazing internship. And after a few months of the internship, he has bagged an offer from a medtech company where he is working as a founding designer. That's an inspiring story which we have from Dharanitharan, who is from Salem, from a tier 3 place, not really from a tier 1 city where there's a lot of exposure, a lot of people, but coming from a place where a lot of people are simply aspiring to become achieving people. From that place, he has achieved something which is a big feat. So today we have Dharani to with us in our studio to share his story with us, to inspire us, and to give us a lot of tips about how is it that we can shape our lives, we can learn design, how we can practice design, and how is it that we can stay motivated in such a way that we can make our dreams into reality. With that, let's welcome Dharani onto the studio. Hey Dharani, welcome.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, to all the people watching live, please say hi to Dharani. Hey Dharani,
Hi guys, hello.
all of you, please do share your excitement in inviting Dharani onto the live. Yes, awesome. So Dharani, first of all, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you,
It's
Dharan.
been like I think around 6 to 7 months. I think more or probably 1 year
Yeah, yeah,
since you have been, since you are a part of the program and you've been actively participating.
yeah.
So good to have you back again.
Pleasure
Let
to
us
be
bring back all those memories,
sure.
all the wonderful times and all the memories which we had. Yes, awesome. So yes, Dharani. So before we go into your story, I know, I mean, a lot of people are very excited about knowing how is it that you are, from someone like a fresher, how did they, first of all, even land an opportunity, that too from a tier 3 city. And on top of it, how did you even become a founding designer and all that stuff? So people are very curious about it.
Yeah.
But before all that, I think it is very important for us to understand the person you are. Okay. So, Dharini, can you just describe a little bit about yourself? Like, can you tell us, what you are, not as a UX designer? Like, when you are not a UX designer, what do you do? So that people can simply relate to the person you are. Like, people, because many times people have this conception that those who actually achieve success are very different kind of people. They're not people like me. So let's break that misconception. So just tell us about your normal self. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm a very normal guy from a normal city. Did my college from did my engineering in a very normal college. So nothing like so glamorous about it. I just like before starting to getting into all my career and stuff. I just the cool guy attitude kind of thing. Like I'll be like having fun with my friends. I'll be like just the normal person I used to be because nothing serious or nothing very aspirational to start with. So we used to have fun and like we used to spend good time together, me and my friends, and that's how like all my life started. So basically, I like to spend time with people. I'm a very extroverted,
Okay.
you know, and yeah, that's something about me.
Okay. So I mean, where like for those people who are probably listening to us from Salem, where are you from in Salem?
Yeah, this is a town called Amapet. This is from Salem.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
I'm from this part of the
Yeah.
city.
Was your entire schooling, college, everything was there?
Yeah, my schooling was done here, and my college is from a nearby city.
Okay.
I was in a residential college there.
Okay, okay. What did you study?
So I did my UG in computer science engineering. So I'm a engineer by degree and a designer by choice. I say that very proudly.
Yes, yes. Very good, very good. Awesome. So good to hear that. What do you generally do? Like, what were your hobbies? What do you generally? How would you describe yourself? You
Yeah.
know, to a
So
friend.
to a friend. Yeah, like
I see a
usually.
bunch of books
Yeah.
in the, if they are not textbooks. I don't think they are textbooks.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
They are not textbooks. That's one good hobby I have since like early
Okay.
stages of my schooling. So I used to read a lot of books. So that's my
Nice.
favorite pastime apart from anything I do seriously. So like reading books has been a comfort zone for me in many times. Like I used to relate very much. It all started with comics initially. In like I
Okay.
started reading when I was in sixth standard. So
Okay.
I started with my school had a very big library. The school I was back then had a
Okay.
very big library and uh, like they don't give access to the novels at very earliest stages. So they just give us comics. So this is what you have to read first and comics became very interesting for me that even after reaching a certain stage where I read both simultaneously. I used to read novels and I used to have comics also in my reading list. So
Got it.
like
Got
the
it.
the storytelling part, the way they articulate something, the basically reading has been a very comfortable thing for me, and I gradually started going from reading comics to like getting into full time fictional novels. So yeah,
Got it.
this is a favorite hobby of mine.
Yes. Any book which you recommend
Yeah.
in
So
general?
the
Fiction.
recent book.
Fiction. Fiction. Let's start with fiction.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I read only fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a recent recommendation I would give for anyone, it's a Japanese book called Before the Coffee Gets Cold. It
Oh.
got quite popular now, but it's a very emotional, I mean, like a book which is mostly focusing on human emotions. So that
Hmm.
is one of my favorite book.
Okay. I ironically I'm drinking a coffee which got
Coffee.
cold, and my wife warned me. You know, drink it before it gets cold.
Yeah, according to the book, now we will be going back to the past if this is the book. So
Yeah.
that was the book about, and like I particularly for some reason like act crime novels very much. The hooking
Okay.
thing these novels have, like it keeps me engaged throughout. There are few books which I read in overnight. I started it, at somewhere 9 p.m. and it was 4:30 when I kept the book down. Then
Got it.
like these crime novels has a factor in me which keeps me so engaged to it.
Hmm. Yeah. Makes me, nostalgic as well. I mean, I remember those days. Nowadays I'm not reading so much, at least fiction. I think I'll get back to it. Yeah.
Yeah, you
I'll
should.
take some recommendations from you, and
Sure, sure.
definitely I'm going to read that before the coffee gets
Coffee
cold for
gets cold.
sure. Okay, so that's very good to know about you, and I think from what I know about you, I think now I can circle back the way you think and the way you connect with multiple stuff. I think now I know where you got it, right? Reading books is where I
Yeah,
think everything relates back to,
yeah,
because one of the very good abilities you always had is connecting the dots. This is one thing which was really really good with you throughout the program, right? Be it like different kinds of things which we used to speak, you always used to relate it to the
yeah,
central theme and present it as a very good story. So that's something which is really coming very well
yeah.
from the habit you have picked up, and by default you are an amazing storyteller because of that reason.
Yeah, the first
So
compliment. You were the second person to give me that
oh,
compliment.
okay.
The first person was my dad. Like,
uh,
we were in eighth standard or ninth standard, I guess. Like, he recommended me a book called Alchemist. It's a famous book. You might
yes, yes,
have
yes,
heard about it.
I know.
I
Paulo
didn't have a
Paulo
lot more
Silva. Yeah,
maturity at that point of time, but
yeah,
each time I have read that book two times. Like each time I read a book, each time I get a different perspective,
yeah.
and that's the first like proper good novel I read, and that I was in a boarding school back then, and after reading the book, I sat down, I called my dad, and I like narrated my version of Alchemist to him for half an hour, and he used to say it very proudly that the way you told me is like that night I didn't have a sleep, like that much interesting aspect you have given me.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Hmm. Okay, so now I'm proud to be the
Yeah,
second
you're the
person
second
talking
person to
about
tell me that. No.
it. Proud as a mentor. Okay, this is interesting. By the way, what does your father do? What do your parents do?
See, yeah, my mom is a school teacher and my dad is a farmer.
Nice. Okay. Very good. I think your mom being a teacher, I think some of those qualities have really come, right? And from your dad being a farmer, you're very disciplined. I think that's and you're very
Thank thank
the
you.
perseverance you have and the ability to uh, take anything, right? I mean, I think that will come out in the story very well. But I've never seen a sad Dharani. Bharan is always with this, like, yes, always with this, that bright, like, you have that, very bright teeth. Like, if you have to draw a caricature of you, that is visible, right? So, this is good. Nice. So, yes, please convey my respect to your parents. Okay, so with that being said, let's get into some parts of your story. So let's talk about your initial days of, let's say, you're trying to graduate. Like, what are the first? How did your interest in UX start? Like, when did you know about this field? How
Yeah,
did you jump onto this,
uh,
and when did you even start building dreams about becoming a UX designer? So yeah, please.
yeah, I'll take you to that story.
Yeah.
So after joining my college, everyone like there was a time when everyone used to focus on something like initially every engineering student will start with coding, programming, and all that stuff. And yeah, I'm also not something very rebellistic. I also started with that. Yeah, but after, like I have been practicing, I have been like practicing coding for a certain time, and but my take was I need to explore few more things. Like I need to explore multiple other things before like
Hmm.
fixing on standing one. I
Okay.
initially had one clarity that if I am going to do something for my career, it's going to be a very long span. Like career is going to take a very big part in our life. If I'm
Hmm.
not liking it, if I'm not enjoying it, then I can't survive multiple years doing it.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I
Correct.
just thought I'll like try few things. I'll like explore what are all there. There was very little exposure to me, basically speaking.
Correct.
So every
Hmm.
small thing that came across is what I started looking for. So like I started with programming, and then I like tried learning networking, as in like technical networking, and randomly in a bus journey, like I was speaking to my friend like this is good for me. Like I mean it's
Huh.
not something it's not coming for me. It's working, but I'm not still having some sense of satisfaction, or I'm still not having something realistic as an end product. So whenever I do something, the end goal is not something I'm very happy about. So maybe
Who
the
did you
process.
surround yourself with? Like, who are the
My
people,
friends.
your friends? Like, what was your exposure like? Like, if you can
Yeah,
give some
we are
sense of.
like yeah, most of my friends are developers. So
Okay.
yeah, like we all started at the like we were a group of 8 people, and like we were all hustling towards something. We everyone had a different mindset, and everyone had like something to try on their own. Like the person like we used to have a lot of conversation was like he was a developer, and he used to like push me, like he used to pull me inside development, and he used to try that all. But somewhere I was not like, the process is huge. Like when we code or when we program something, the
Hmm.
process to achieve something is huge, but the end result is not something I'm always very happy about. It didn't work for me. It's not something
Got
that's
it.
bad, but
Got it.
it didn't like
Good.
connect with me very much. That's
Hmm.
when I expressed that I need to do something that the end goal should be very relatable, or like something I can see or something I can feel personally. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
when my friend, we were literally returning to my
Hmm.
hometown for an holiday, and we were sitting in a
Okay.
bus, and we were having this conversation, and he said
Okay.
me that there is something called UX design. I don't know anything about it, but I saw a random I mean his school friend having some story or something like that.
Okay.
That's when like I know this term, something user design. Like his statement was, he's the person who who does the screens or who like makes applications,
Mm.
which you see or which you feel. That's the first point that connected with me. Okay, that is some, I'm going to that field will work on something
Got it.
which the person can see or feel. Then I started like searching about it, and like out of 9 out of 10 people in the whole world will land in the Google course which is given by Coursera. That's where it all started. Like that,
Good,
they
good.
gave me like something context about what is this field about, like
Yeah,
what do they
yeah.
do or something. Even though they the narration or everything is different, they give some context about what is this about. So I started doing that very sincerely. That I, even though sometimes I don't understand something, but I went with the flow and like I was sincere to it.
Mm, mm.
That's I mean at some midpoint I realized, okay, this is good, this is okay, but I am not grasping it. It again feels like something I'm reading, and it's like again reading a college book.
Textbook
Yeah,
approach.
it's
Yes.
like in a very textbook manner. The thing was, and
Correct.
okay, like I can't do anything about it. So I was just like randomly putting these terms in YouTube: UX design, UI design, everything. And YouTube, there is this word called serendipity, right? Like that's how YouTube suggested me your Google Pay video. the
Yes.
the the video in which like you replicate a, you it was part of your previous call, like where you replicate a Google Pay's landing screen, and the way
Correct.
you started, that's the first time in my life, apart from reading a book or apart from seeing a movie, I'm engaged in something for a half an hour kind of time. Like my attention
Yeah.
span was very focused on that. It
Correct.
doesn't feel like I was seeing something out of the things which I
Yes.
used to be very engaged with. Okay,
Correct.
that then,
Correct.
yeah, that connected with me very much. The way you like did that redesign, the way you spoke with people out there, the way they questioned you, everything was very nice for me. And
Correct.
then like I like backtracked from the point where I got this Google video. Like I started seeing your other videos. Like that time you had very less content in YouTube, I guess. Then I backtracked your students profiles, like who are
Ah,
they, what
okay.
kind of work they do. And that's how like I got to see few people, like few of your students back then. Sanjana, you remember, right? Like she was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
doing, she was in the live at that time. She was in the
Correct.
correct batch,
Correct.
and she had just finished her Netflix case study thing. So
Yes, I remember.
that case study was one my founding stone for me. Okay, this is very good. Like because I did a case study on my own before like seeing anything of your own, and I
Ah,
started comparing like, okay, this is a case study I have done on my own. This is the case study present in the market. They were nowhere close to each other. Okay, then I decided if I'm doing this, I'm doing this right. So that's and during all
yeah.
this, like I came for an event to Bangalore, like a
Huh.
Notion's event. Honestly speaking, 4 days before the event only I installed Notion. I was not aware of Notion. I didn't know anything about
Yes.
Notion.
Yeah.
My main motive was I should get out first. I should see what like people at my age group or people in this tech industry, how are they present
Yeah.
outside. I just want to see, like that was my main motive of getting into that event. Even at the event, everyone was working sincerely, building that Notion template, the task which was given
When
to
was
them.
this? When was this? The Notion
Uh,
event?
last to last year, like February 2022, I guess.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
With
And you were the chief guest for it,
ah,
Vinci.
now I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
This was hosted by Venci, right? That
yeah,
one.
yeah. Vinci
Oh,
Krishna.
you
Yeah,
were there at that event.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yes.
So
Okay.
yeah, the one two main motives was I need to get out, and you were the chief guest, and I was like your fan back then. It's like stalking all your content, and okay,
Got it.
I'll try meeting you in person. Like I'll see
Hmm.
what your what you say really. That was my main motive of going for that event. I didn't know anything about the Notion thing, honestly. So everyone was
This is
sincerely working, and
interesting.
I was like just sincerely watching how do they do stuff and what do they do, and I was like speaking
Hmm.
with people like what do you do, what is your background and all that stuff, and like it was a overnight event, and the next day you came as the chief guest, like
Yes.
in some midday, you and Saran, you both guys came, and I asked you like, okay, I'm just starting my career now, what should I do, and I'm 200% sure you won't remember that, but I'm telling you. And but the advice you told is what
Okay.
you explained in the 6 month program also, nothing new. Like you
Exactly.
what
Yeah.
you told was like break down existing apps. They are the living proof of best design out there. break down, like take
Yes.
something,
Yes.
a small thing, like take a screenshot of any app you regularly use, start asking questions on that. That was
Yes.
the one liner advice you gave me, and that's
Yes.
the
I
point
think.
also I decided I'm going to take it as a full time like thing. That's
Yes.
when I contacted, like, and I joined the program. So that's how it all started.
Wow. Okay. You just brought back a lot of those memories, right? This is so good to hear. Yeah. That was really a good fun event, and I really enjoyed the conversations, and I'm
Yeah,
so happy that it was you. Now, when I connect it back, it
connecting
just
the dots again. Yeah,
nice. And it is very few times like this when you realize the value of your content, isn't it? Like, I mean,
yeah,
the whole Google Pay video, or that Sanjana's
yeah,
review video, we will like just post. I mean, let's see what will happen, right? I mean, and in my channel, it's not like I get like you know viral videos with like millions of views and stuff like
yeah,
that, right? I mean, it's like very engaged people, right?
yeah,
But when you hear these kind of stories where it actually changes people's lives, people's perceptions about how they think, right? It like they're like, and the way you told, like, hey, you know what, this is my case study and this is that case study. And if there is this much difference, there is something I need to learn, right? I
yeah,
mean, these kind of things really and especially now that you're talking about that Google Pay video, now I want to watch it again, right? I want to
yeah,
see the whole storytelling part of it and how it appeals to people who look for good stories, right?
yeah.
So from
Yeah, the
so
main thing was like
hmm,
like Coursera used to have stock videos, like people come and explain stuff.
correct,
My first impression was this is also going to be something like that, but it
correct,
was not something like that. It's like
correct.
group of friends sitting together and like someone is explaining something to some another person. It was more of the that kind of learning, and
Yes,
that's what
yes,
impressed me at the first place.
yes. The whole community coming together and we trying to
Yeah,
do a bunch of things together.
yeah,
I think that's the vibe, and I'm so happy you carried that vibe over here, and you engaged with the community, and not only engaged, you brought in more people, and and I think your connections keep on joining every new batch out there. Yeah. Nice. Okay, so this is very interesting. So Dharani, let's do one thing. So
yeah,
let's actually talk about, you know, uh, see what my observation of you, I'm telling you. I always understood that you're someone who always connected the dots very well, right? And that observation came from the way you used to think, right? Let us say you were in a call and you used to ask questions, and I used to see how you used to get the heart of the questions and used to connect it to multiple other things, right?
yeah,
And what I want to talk about is how did you realize what your fundamental qualities are? Because I think we have spent enough time trying to reflect back on the fundamental
yeah,
qualities which we have, right? And we've always invested in building up ourselves right from the ground, right from the very solid foundations of what am I as a person, what are my fundamental qualities, and how do I enjoy this whole thing, and how do I become a designer when it becomes natural for me, right? So from that perspective, what made you discover your fundamental qualities, and how could you connect them with design? Right, I know I'm
yeah.
asking a very heavy question, but to a
I'll
storyteller
try my best.
that you are, I'm sure you have some perspective over here.
Yeah.
So, if I have to summarize, like, how did you discover your fundamental qualities, right? Through the through the interactions we had and the mentorship which we had,
Yeah,
and how did you connect them to the way you should think and design, right?
yeah,
And if any stories are there over there,
yeah,
any examples that will really inspire our viewers. Yeah.
okay. So over the years, one thing I have felt confident as a person, like apart from
Hmm.
anything, design career, everything, as a person is, I care, like about for the people around me or for the small things around me. I naturally care for it. Like I can't go something unattended.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
suddenly like it disturbs me basically. So that's something
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
know back then, but initially it didn't have anything to do with any of this. And
Correct.
each time like we have a conversation in a class, like you used to say something or there used to be something on screen, and there would be a very small thing. If like there are a lot of big things out there, but there were a few very small things existed, and
Okay.
those small things are the places I start with. Like
Hmm.
those
Hmm.
small things are the things that like I see at first glance.
Hmm.
So this
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
I realized this after like have like after 2 3 months of a program, because each time I ask a question, you were the first person to give me a very detailed answer which really satisfied the question I asked. So that's then my the way of me questioning became better.
Correct.
So the first time I asked you, my thought was I should ask something. It's
Hmm.
I didn't have a very valid question, or I didn't have a very powerful question which would like change the oration of the whole class. No, I didn't have anything like that. But I need to start asking it. I need to
Correct.
start with something. So that's when I saw again like that's all started by I saw a very small thing. We were working on the level zero project, like the
Huh.
how heuristic principles in
Yeah.
existing products,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I spoke about a very small thing,
Huh.
and I didn't expect you to give me a very detailed answer for that. You gave
Okay.
me a very detailed answer for it, and that's when me questioning became very frequent. I started asking questions, and later I realized why I was asking questions, because I started seeing those things, like the
Correct.
small things, and
Correct. It's
then I
very
like we used to
interesting
have a
that
sorry,
I
yeah,
have to bring a point over here, right? So when you said when you started off with your fundamental quality of trying to care, right? I
yeah,
mean, you look at some news over there, you look at some incident out there, or you look at some person's story or there, some friend, right?
yeah,
You start to see that, hey, you know what, can I do something over here? Can
yeah,
I, right? You like that care actually translates into, of course, instead of going, I've never seen you become emotional, but I think
yeah,
you balance it very well to look at it like a problem solver, right?
yeah,
How is it that I can take this up and probably provide a solution, provide a design
yeah,
in such a way that this can be solved from the roots, right?
yeah,
So I think that's a very, very interesting insight which we need to tell ourselves, right? Because as a UX designer, it is very, very important to be empathetic.
yeah,
And where does empathy even come from, right? Your daily experiences.
yeah,
You go, and whenever you're able to put yourself in the shoes of the other person,
yeah,
that's where you start realizing that you have those things which is required to become empathetic.
yeah,
And all I need to do is now take that and put it into professional practice,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean, this is one more thing for people. I mean, empathy can lead to multiple things, can also
yeah,
make you very emotional, and if you don't balance your emotions, it can totally, take a toll on you as well, right? But as professionals, what we do is we take empathy, and instead of going judgmental or becoming emotional, we take it professionally and utilize it professionally to
yeah,
solve problems at scale, right? Which can
yeah,
also benefit businesses,
yeah.
right? So it's a
I
very
have
interesting
a small
insight.
interesting story
Yeah,
with this point. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like two way
Hmm.
forward. Something happened a few days back. This is, but
Okay.
saying this now will feel apt for the scenario. So,
Huh.
after joining my current company as a founding designer, like this is my entry to the B2B space. All of a thing, all
Okay.
our practice for design was like mostly in consumer products.
Okay.
So my mindset was like approaching a problem or approaching something had a different perspective to start with, and
Okay.
I started noticing like my the way I designed is not fitting into the product, as it's not fitting into the product. I still,
Hmm.
I mean, as in paper I know who is my user, what are their characteristics, but I was still not able to connect with that person. Okay, one day I realized, okay, this is not something really working. What I should do is I spoke with some relatives, and I went to an hospital. So
Hmm.
as this is an hospital
Oh.
management software, they
Oh.
are not our clients or nothing. Like this is a random hospital near my
Hmm.
place. I spoke with the doctors such that I'm doing something like this. I want to really know, like you are the people I'm designing for. So I
Hmm.
want to know who you are. So I want to observe what you guys do.
Hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
you sit with the reception desk. It's not a problem. And he gave me that. So for 3 4 hours, I did nothing. I just they gave me a small stool at the end of the reception, and I sat at the reception, and I started like just seeing. I was just
Nice.
taking small hints or notes what I thought it should be noted. But most of the 80% of the time, I was just seeing the person. That's when like
Very interesting.
really I was able to understand like who he is the character, or like this much is the time he has in a system,
Yes,
this is
yes,
how
yes,
he
yes.
works, or this is how he reacts. Then
Yes.
then the way I started designing, like each time I used to validate after taking a design decision, I used to think of that guy. Okay, at this his situation, will this
This is
work?
so good, man. This is so good. I mean, when you actually see the person, right, you
Yeah,
can empathize the human very well, because
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
good
yeah,
thing about being a human. You can really relate and empathize another human very well, and
yeah,
especially when you are in their environment, right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
this is. I mean, it is very good that you actually chose to go out of your comfort zone
yeah,
and try and understand that person from that particular perspective, right? And I think most of us, this acts as a very good reminder for all of us to get out of the building, go out there, right, and go and understand users from their own locations, right? And
yeah.
there's a term for it. I think it's called ethnographic study. There is a textbook term for this,
Oh, okay.
to actually go and go to the environment of the user, or basically in your, because in your case it's a B2B setup.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's an indirect user, but to
yeah,
be at the situation
yeah,
and observe their journeys and note down what is happening in their lives and in their entire transaction.
yeah,
Very interesting point. And I think your fundamental quality of empathizing, and I think that is deeply coming from you reading books,
yeah, yeah.
because when you
Totally.
read those books, the way you enjoy that character, the way the character develops, and
Yeah,
the way you
yeah,
anticipate what's going to happen, and the way you empathize the character, I think it's very strongly your
yeah,
foundation is coming out there,
yeah,
and that you are able to apply very profoundly in user experience design,
yeah,
because that's exactly what we are there for, right? We
yeah,
have to design experiences, and if you have to create an experience, that means you'll have to create it through a journey. And
yeah,
how do I do that? I need to first empathize whom I'm creating this journey for.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So this, for any book readers out there who are like, hey, think, if you think, is UX design for me? If you're someone who just loves the way the character develops, and if you can really connect very well with them, if you're like, hey, I'm a fan of this character, I'm a fan of that character, probably you should try UX design,
I
right?
would become a fan of Anudeep too.
Yes. Very interesting, very interesting. Okay, so next I'll come to what you are saying, that is these small things, right? And I think I myself really feel this is one thing which you were really good at, right? You were very good at identifying those micro details
Yeah,
and picking up things which are small, not worrying about, like, that's one more thing also. Like, as I said, I never saw you being very much worried, like, be it like a big concept, be it like a big practice. You're like, okay, let me just start small, let me just take it and solve it, right? And I think that was really different from the way you were from many other people. And it was very natural that you will get a result as quickly as possible, right? Why? Because instead of taking worry, and you're not basically allowing it to stop you, and this is what happens to most people, right? Because when a class is being delivered, there's a lot of concepts, a lot of stuff. Though we are doing it in a very non-textbook manner, we are trying to make it fun and all that stuff, it is still very heavy,
yeah,
right? But when we allow those thoughts to stop us, like, no, I have to consume all of this today itself, we block ourselves.
yeah,
But Dharani was this one person who will focus on that very small point, one point. I'll hold on to that. I'll ask about that. I'll practice that,
yeah,
and done. Because now you're doing stuff, right?
yeah,
I think I recollect this incident which you have told about. This is that I think you asked about that components, right? I mean, do you
yeah,
really
yeah,
recollect that?
yeah,
What
yeah.
actually happened? And
So
we
the
started end
thing
up
was,
discussing. Yeah,
we,
go ahead. Huh.
yeah, yeah, we were doing a 48-hour hackathon challenge thing.
Yes.
And, like it was mostly the task was mostly UI focused, and like
Huh.
it was mostly replication. And instead of like just randomly, I mean, uh, just replicating it, what I did was like I started using components too.
Correct.
So
Huh.
I just learned. I was practicing things beforehand, like just few days back. Okay,
Huh.
let's implement it. No harm in doing that. I started doing that, and the thing was I got stuck in one place.
Hmm.
The it was a very small place, like having a one single instance, but having two properties inside that single instance.
Oh
How
yeah, I think I remember. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah,
at
yeah.
that point, I don't know, like I thought having two instances only would work, but it was not working.
Hmm.
So then I asked this in the live class, and me asking this doubt led to you explaining component properties. Like we both sat down in my file, and you started breaking it down. Okay, see guys, this is how it is. You like if you
Correct.
do this only, this is the result you are trying to achieve, and
Right.
for this component properties is needed. Now what is component properties? Then you started explaining all that stuff.
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes, yes.
that was a very
And I think
interesting.
using that as the foundation, I think I have built that entire
Yeah,
Blinkit wala
Blinkist. Yeah,
Blinkist
yeah,
exercise
yeah, yeah,
where you went like very deep into component
very deep.
properties. The whole, I think if Figma watches that, they're like oh my god, this is the heart of how the designer at Figma thought, right? I mean,
Exactly.
that was good. That was good.
Yeah,
Right. So this is really, I mean, I absolutely love the way, you always ask those questions at a such fundamental level that we could actually go into the depths of the conversation, right?
yeah,
Even if it was
exactly.
just tool skills,
Yeah,
even if like many people just talk about, oh, you do this is how a tool behaves, right? But the kind of conversations we are like, it was so fundamental that we're not limiting ourselves to, hey,
very
component properties today in this tool called Figma, and this is
exactly.
where my learning stops. No, our foundations of why the designer at Figma is sitting and thinking like this and
Yeah,
enabling other designers will make us so solid at foundations that tomorrow a new tool comes, a new types of, like, anything which is done in making designers lives easier by
yeah,
building the ability to build systems. That's it. You don't even have to look at any tutorial out there, right?
yeah, yeah. I was
Right.
about to say that each time you refer Figma as a tool, like you never like spoke Figma as Figma. Figma is like the mother of everything. You never like spoke Figma as a tool.
Correct.
You are like
Correct.
I'm telling you guys to practice tool. Like I'm not telling you guys to practice Figma. They have a difference,
Correct.
and like the moment I started realizing that, that was like a good thing for me,
Absolutely.
and the moment I started
Absolutely, man. I
applying
mean,
it was way better.
because Figma, because of the entire hype around, right? Figma becomes the thing.
The thing, yeah,
We forget that, hey, you know what? It's a tool. It's a
yeah,
tool which you are like carrying, like probably like a dress which you are wearing.
yeah,
It can change.
yeah,
You'll have to adapt, right? We totally forget and we just identify ourselves so much with the tool that we don't even see that we are holding it,
yeah,
right? And that perspective is something which we always carried. Because see, frankly speaking, there's no doubt Figma will be replaced, right? With
yeah,
whatever is happening, either Figma catches up or there'll be new tools. Like I can see tools like Create and UIZard, then Galileo, and many other tools, right? And I've been exploring Bolt as well,
yeah, yeah,
right? So I've kept an Instagram story playing
yeah,
with it, right? So the thing is, tools will keep coming. New technology will always keep replacing older technology. But the focus is very simple, guys. Are you becoming the person who can always figure out the tools and play with the tools and get your vision translated out there?
yeah,
Are you in this practice? If you become this person who's in this practice, no matter whatever the tool, you will always perform. But if you don't look at them as tools and you're like, oh, this is all auto layout. If I do auto layout, my life is sorted. For many people, auto layout is that gospel. The moment they crack auto layout, it's like as if their life they've achieved biggest thing in their lives, right? No. Right? So have this perspective. These are just tools, right? Because as a popular saying says, design is not what is there on the screen. Design is what is happening here.
yeah,
This is where design is happening. It's not on the screen, right? Awesome. So, I really love the way you always paid attention to the micro details and the way you always connected the dots and understood the foundations very well. And the reason why I'm like really bring the stressing a lot of those things out right now is, and especially because you have had a success and that too at a very young age, right? And you will have an amazing career as well. There's no doubt.
thank you.
The reason I'm telling this to the audience is because you simply have to focus on these few things which fundamentally connect very well with you. Because the moment you become a learner, you can learn everything in UX design. There of course there is nothing like everything, but there is time for it. You will learn. There is time. Over the years, you'll continuously keep learning, 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 and you'll only learn more. That learning never stops, right? So since anyway you will learn, why worry so much about learning everything right now? Focus on the things which connect very well with you, those small things which are connecting readily with you right now, which are making you happy. Go play with it and start becoming the person who will really enjoy doing it, that others will start getting inspired you doing it, right? That's it. And then industry naturally selects you. Industry naturally wants the kind of enthusiastic person you are, right? If you're not still believing me, that's why you should listen more to Dharani's story. Now, Dharani, why don't you tell us a little bit about how did you, so this is before you actually landed any internship,
Yes.
and before uh, basically, by the way, why don't you talk about how did you maintain your practice while in the program as well, right? While there were like a lot of workbooks, a lot of these projects, and so can you describe a few things about how did you put yourself to discipline? How did you select what to focus on, and what were the things you practiced so that people can out there can take advice and focus their energies on how do they build themselves, right? Then we'll talk about what did you do after graduating and how is it that your job hunt and all. We'll talk about it a little later.
Sure, sure.
But what did you do while you were learning, and how did you focus on the practice?
Okay.
Yes. Hmm.
So yeah, like starting with our program. So the first
Hmm.
source or like the first place, go-to place was the workbooks we had.
Correct.
So like our workbooks were so detailed such that they might seem very simple, but they have a lot of stuff inside that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only when we like spend time on it, I used to realize that. So the first thing I understood was like the first thing you used to focus a lot was understand the product first. Visuals we will get it along the way.
Correct.
Getting visuals is also a crucial part, but it is not the only part. We will get it along the way, but understand the product first, understand the experience behind the screens first.
Correct.
So I was very interested about it, like more
Hmm.
than like the directly jumping before into visuals. I was like interested behind the for the behind the screens part. So
Yes.
most of our workbook, like the workbooks we used to have, like we used to do it in first in like as in a team setup. So we used to have a lot of debates and like we used to break down each screen. Like there will be as a
Yeah.
multiple assignments for multiple concepts. Like if they
Correct.
say like you say if the thing is about understanding the UX behind the UI, we have a separate workbook for it. Like there are lot we can go on and go on further. So first we used to have like a team task like where we collaboratively question the screen. So
Hmm.
we use first like basically I used to tell anyone who asked me how to start it, start with questions. That's the best way to start with. And
Yeah. Yeah.
structurizing those questions will take time, but starting with questions is the best thing we can do with nothing in our hands. So we used to do that. Like as a team, we used to question each and everything, and then we will start having opinions for that. Okay, this is the question. Like, why do you think Swiggy did this? Why do you think Zomato did this? And we will all have different opinions. Like that's where the learning arises. Like my opinion is different from the other person's opinion, and either he will understand what I am trying to say, or like vice versa. So there
Correct.
are lot of times I was wrong. There are lot of times I used
Yeah.
to convince other people. I think this is the working model. So having those
Hmm.
conversations helped me personally to understand the product, but understand questioning better.
Correct.
So then I
Correct.
used to sit after like after this was all over, I used to like
Ah.
again revisit it, like just have a glance, okay, like because when we are in doing this, the momentum keeps you engaged. Like we will be doing it in a straight go, but like when the dust settled, I used to revisit it again, and I used to see the questions, and there will always be additional stuff, and I used to try that on my own. Like I used to ask questions on my own. Why, like for example, if I take a login screen of any app, I used to like ask why this is like this, why this is like this. Like I don't judge my questions initially. I used to like put the questions on paper, and then I used to like write my opinions for it. So that's how
Yes.
I
Hmm.
started with. That's how like I started understanding products. Then step by step,
Yes.
screen by screen, like I expanded it. Like starting with a single screen, then with a single flow, then understanding a single feature. That's how
Hmm.
it started. Starting again, like I started small, and I just scaled up as like as practice goes by. So that's how
Yes.
I started it.
This message is so important, right? I mean, we really, of course, that's the entire focus of the program, right? We were
Yeah,
always like, okay, let's understand the UX behind the existing UI right there, existing design. Let's understand it. That will naturally make you a designer, right?
yeah,
That is so simple, and it surprisingly makes us a much better designer. And this
yeah,
message is so important for you out there, right? Instead of directly jumping off to creating, right? You need to first focus on
observe.
observing a lot, right? You know what I generally tell people these days, like, think of yourself like a GPT.
Yeah,
So how is ChatGPT able to generate all those answers? Someone has actually trained that GPT model. The reason why ChatGPT can give you all those ideas, this, that, all that stuff, is because someone has actually trained it. Now, this here is also like a GPT, right? I call it AI, right? Actual intelligence, not artificial intelligence. Right? So go take your actual intelligence and train it. And how does this happen? It's very simple. You're using experiences on a daily basis, be it
yeah,
physical, be it digital, right?
yeah,
Go look at those apps. And just like how, like, I mean, we have broken down the same thing into workbooks, right? And
yeah,
we made structured exercises out of it, right? But other than that, the message is very simple. Let us say you're opening some Swiggy screen, open it, just start questioning every small aspect of it.
yeah,
Why do you think the designer out there thought in a particular manner?
yeah,
What do you think? Why this particular element was done in that particular manner? Why was the product decision taken in this particular manner? Every screen, every app, every transaction, everything you do, passively, continuously keep having this thought process in the back of your mind, and also actively do it. Like, have a
yeah,
friend like Dharani, go talk to them, right? Talk to them about each and all these micro details, and that will make you the person who is a designer.
yeah,
Then building the portfolio and building the assets for the portfolio becomes very natural. Like, you'll automatically given, like, let's say a hackathon, you will naturally solve a problem very well, and if you write a case study out of it, you will naturally get selected, because first you became the person who thinks like a designer,
yeah.
who is a designer, who understands other designers,
100%.
right? So this is a very strong message, and thank you for reminding us this, and I'm sure a lot of people will take inspiration from it and keep their focus on this,
Yeah,
right? And it is so easy, so simple. Trust me, guys, just how much effort does it take to actually open an app screen and start thinking about it? Nothing, zero, right? Awesome. So that's a good reminder, Dharani. Tell me
each
one
time when
thing.
I say something like
Uh,
this, sir, like I feel I'm repeating what you told me earlier. Like I used to like feel this in multiple instances of my career. Like when I speak to my CEO or like when I speak to
yeah.
someone out there, it doesn't feel like I'm speaking. It's like you are speaking inside me. I feel that much influence you have.
you are you have inserted UX Sandeep AI in your brain.
Yeah, is there.
This is interesting. Good. So, Dharani, one question I'll have to ask you is, you're always there, you were committed, disciplined, and I'm damn sure some of these qualities came from your father, who must be a very hard worker, right? So,
Yeah.
what are some of those tips? How do you stay motivated? What is that which you can tell people which can help you always stay motivated and not lose focus? And do you have any stories where you actually times were difficult and you actually thought of not doing it and stuff like that? And how did you get back on track in continuing your practice, right?
Yeah.
And if you have some inspiring stories from your father, that will really help us, right? Because I would love to hear about how, farmers stay committed and doing the same thing again and again and again, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead, please. Any of the stories will help. Yeah.
Yes. So one thing I could relate with both
Uh,
of my parents, especially my father, very much is they used to handle a lot of things out there. Like apart from the time we spend together as a family, they used to have a lot of pressures from work or from everything they have. Like and they used to have a lot of pressure at any point of time. But every time, like when we all sit together,
huh.
we speak or we have a family time as if we don't have that much troubles in our life. So I
Yeah.
initially felt this is how it should be. Like as a child, like getting used to this as a practice made me feel like this is how you should be. Whatever problems you have outside, it is outside, but when we come together as a family, we are going to have a good time. Of course there will be some ups and down days, but this has been a majority of how our family time is. Like, with even like the baddest of the thing happened to my father, he used to be the very funny person in our family. So that I later realized that basically inspires me. Like, I used to
Nice.
tell myself, and I used to tell my friends too, like, if I am not trusting myself, then how could a recruiter or how could a second person trust me? There is
Yes.
no reason they could do that. If I am not confident or I am not sure that I can do something valuable, then no one can have the trust on me. So, like, during the job searching times, every rejection will have a mental effect on every person. That's very human to have that. But
Yes. 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 Yes.
it doesn't, like, I never felt this is the end, like this, that's it, I'm going to do something else. I never felt like that. It's just one another chance. I have to do this one more time. That's so I like.
Really interesting, man. I mean, this family time concept, and I think that's literally what we used to do in the community as well, right?
Yeah,
And we were like, hey, forget everything. I mean, the point, of course, let me do one thing. Let me actually share my screen and
yeah,
show something to you, which it might be very, heart touching for you.
yeah.
Yeah, look at this.
Wow.
Yeah,
Very early days.
yeah, yeah. Sumanya,
Yeah, yeah.
Tika, wow. Hmm.
My first team, like
Anshu was
coding
also
team.
in your team. Okay.
Yeah,
With
yeah,
a wonderful session sharing our understandings on how to and when to use component properties, variants. We clarified each other's doubts. Awesome, man. 2172. Huh?
yeah, yeah, sir.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is basically when you can have a lot of difficulties, when you can be, all these things can be mentally burdening you a lot. But one thing, when you have people around, when you sit together like this, like that family dinner,
Yeah,
you actually discuss about stuff which is not even probably related to design, probably not
yeah,
even related to your problems, nothing. You just sit there, spend time, have some fun. I'm telling you, everything changes. Everything changes.
200%.
Things will start, manifesting. People will suddenly, you'll start suddenly seeing that your brain is suddenly working.
Yeah,
The problems that don't really feel like as if they are really big problems,
yeah.
right? This is the hack. You want to stay motivated, daily connect with a bunch of people. And I think that's one thing which we have nailed it in our
You know
community.
what, sir? I realized this from you, like a story you told once. Like,
Okay. Huh.
this was happening from my family for a very long time, but I
Okay.
didn't realize or like visually see it.
Yeah.
This was Diwali calls are always very special. So it was
Yes. Yes.
during the Diwali call, like you first had an half an hour motivational talk of, okay, you will feel burned out. You will, like, we were having a continuous assignments and stuff like that.
Correct. Correct.
What you do is, like, keep everything aside, go engage fully with your family, like have fun, have sweets, distribute it to whoever you want, like completely engage. It might
Correct.
seem very childish to someone else, but even it might seem childish to you, but do that. Keep your
Yeah.
mind out of this, and when you come back and sit here, there will be a freshness in your mind.
Correct. Correct.
And that's
Correct.
when I realized we do it on a regular basis in our family, and
Yes.
that's when I realized that.
Yes, so important. Like, I mean, that's the importance of culture, right? I mean,
Yeah,
when and that's why that's why I was so inspired when you said a farmer, right? Because especially when you're coming from a family of a farmer, you keep your culture there
yeah,
very much intact, right? It
yeah,
might all sound very meaningless. The Diwali call as well. I remember it, right? The thing is, I was also reflecting, right? Why actually go and celebrate a festival? Why actually go and engage with a bunch of people out there? Why?
yeah,
What's the real point of meeting a bunch of people just saying Happy Diwali or something like that, right? But then when you look at it, just the perspective of meeting people, having some goal, like, what, I think today we should all do this celebration and let's all plan for it, this, that, what, and having fun together, all that stuff, just meaningless engagement with a bunch of people doing a bunch of things suddenly puts us into motion,
yeah,
action. And I remember that call we're talking about Newton's laws of motivation. Yeah. Right now, you are in a state of rest. Your brain is not able to brain anymore, right?
Yeah.
No, no worries. Stop all this. Go celebrate a festival. Go out there, do a bunch of activities. Now, we are applying Newton's second law, F is equal to ma. Apply an external force and go from an inertia of rest to inertia of motion,
Motion.
right? Right, and the same thing in philosophical terms is basically said, like, you're basically sitting in ignorance. Now you need that external factor to push you into mode of passion. That's where
Yeah,
work
yeah,
actually
yeah,
happens,
yeah.
right?
Everyone has this like as an innate, like many people have this as an innate. I have a friend like who does like who engage like he does her housework or like she engages something in small things which
Yes,
will clear her brain, like which will help her to come back to the
absolutely.
normal self. I have
Yes,
people like that. I have stories like that.
absolutely. So I think this is one trick all of you should definitely take note of. This is, have something which will make you act. Maybe it's spending time together with your family. Maybe it's about just going out together. Maybe it's about spending time with your dog. Have something, or probably you'll just go somewhere on a weekly basis to one place, probably to watch some birds or like whatever. Like, have one activity which you will do, not at all related to anything related to design, anything
Yeah,
that will make your brain start working,
yeah.
right? And definitely, if you have a bunch of friends, bunch of motivated friends, right, who will sit together on a daily basis, do something professionally, make yourself very accountable. On top of it, also have conversations, chill out there. That is like, I think, right, that will really set. I think now Dharani is remembering all those days back. Like, he wants to join back.
Yeah, sir, yeah. Really.
Yes. This is interesting, Dharani. Okay, so now that we have heard this story, so Dharani, now let's get into what happened. How did you, like, from the stage where you graduated, then, like, the struggle phase, right? Most people are in the struggle phase. Don't. Today, I was actually getting a message from one of my students saying, like, "Hey, I applied for 15 jobs today. Nobody replied."
According to you,
And
the
I
day
was
one
like,
of job applying, you should have said that.
like, and she's like a good performer. Like, I mean, she's like, like you, she also got like good awards and stuff, and she was like messaging this, and she bagged all the three awards. So, and she was messaging that, and I was like, yesterday I watched this Game Changer movie.
Oh, okay.
In that movie, he becomes an IPS, then IAS, then collector, magistrate, election officer, and CM. Okay, and I was telling her, you started applying. You applied to 15 companies, and you want to become IAS, IPS, election commissioner, CM, right? So, anyway, so please talk about the phase where the struggle phase. What happened? How did you keep yourself at it? And some tips and tricks over here, right? Which actually can, because I know something about what you have done. So definitely go and smash those misconceptions of just blindly applying and thinking the world will respond to how connections help and all that. Please go and share your story over here.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure. So the phase of applying for jobs started like when we finally finished our capstone project. I was like somewhere in my mind that okay. I mean, even in like middle of my capstone project, I started like getting things
Yeah.
in place and I started applying. But full time applying jobs started when I finished my capstone project and stuff like that. And as usual, it, is- it is something which is not in our control. Like
Hmm.
first thing we have to accept that you can like get a reply within the day. First day you applied, you can get the job in the second day itself, or it can take months. It is not at all in our control.
Yeah.
So that the acceptance is the first thing we have to do. But still, like there are like multiple ways or multiple things which we can put in our effects to reach the stage where the luck factor increases for us. So instead of
Correct.
like Basically it starts with applying in LinkedIn, applying in all the job portals out there. But uh, you used to say that there are one ratio of people who do stuff in a traditional way, and there are like 10 to 20% of smart people who does that in a different way. Figure out
Yes,
that different way is the same words you used to say back there. So
exactly.
I
Because
like,
people is saying that, hey, everyone is having this portfolio.
yeah,
Like, yeah, is everyone getting a job? Figure out what that smart person is doing, right?
yeah.
Not a bunch of people are everyone doing, right? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So I started with whatever ways possible to reach out. Like
Hmm.
the place we obviously we can show what we are as a truly am as a designer is when we get on a call, or when there is some sort of interaction between the recruiter and myself. And
Hmm.
reaching that stage is like literally the hardest part,
Correct.
to like get leads and get applications accepted. So
Hmm.
there are few things, in the preliminary things which we have to set it right at that point of time. For example, having a portfolio and resume ready at all points of time, and like not just applying to the career pages and LinkedIn profiles. What I
Hmm.
would do is, okay, let's say there is a job opening from a company.
Hmm.
The LinkedIn description will have two, three extra details, like who is the recruiter, or like they will have a Google form link that most people would have. But who is the recruiter? What I would do is go to the company, go to the people section, filter the managers and designers of the company, go and like give connection requests for them, and like probably try to extract their email IDs. Like if it's available directly on LinkedIn, I would like take those LinkedIn, and I used to mail them. I used to cold mail them.
Okay.
So I'm sure there is an opening in that company. Instead of like just applying in the LinkedIn and keep waiting to get waiting for a response, I used to try these kind of things. Like I
Hmm.
used to, my main motive was to my application should be the first of all the stack notebooks. That's the best I can do from my side. Other things, it's in their hand.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
So
Hey, let
trying,
us do one thing. Let
yeah,
us do one thing. There's something interesting which we can do.
okay,
Your father is a farmer, right? Like,
yeah,
what
yeah.
do you grow? What do you grow?
So mostly we focus on cattle feed.
Okay. Cattle feed. Like, what does it mean?
Cattle, what does it mean in the sense that like,
Please, for us, we have no clue about farming. When you say cattle feed, what is that feed
yeah,
like?
there are like two, it's a basically a type of grass which cows basically
Okay.
have interest upon in eating. So like there are
Okay.
two types of things which grow into different seasons. Like
Okay.
they both have a different like growing span. Like one is a short term thing which when
Hmm.
we sow it, like it grows and we can harvest it within 3 4 months. And one that is a one time thing, and there is another kind of grass thing which is like a recurring cycle. Like once we sow
Okay.
it, it stays like as a tree, as a plant. We can cut it and it will grow, like it will have an yield 3 4 times.
Interesting.
So
The
so
reason I'm bringing this topic, Dharan, is because it's very close to the struggle phase, right? Because one
okay,
thing I know about farmers is they put their effort,
yeah,
and a lot of it is dependent on the luck,
yeah,
right? And
that's
they
true.
and it's and is there something which just you plant that day and suddenly the plant comes out? Right? So
Disappointment is the only thing that grows that.
I'm damn sure you can tell us the story of like how difficult it is, to actually have something meaningful after putting so much effort for months
Yeah.
together, right? As a farmer, right? So, like, why don't you share this, because we have no clue, right? I mean, we hardly get a viewpoint into this,
Yeah, sir.
right?
Like, uh, farming is more like at least you have some control over here while job searching. But farming, you have very less control, because nature has the biggest impact in what we grow.
Correct,
So
correct.
anything can, excess of water leads to wastage. Low water leads to wastage. Any damage will be very quick, but growing phase will be very slow.
Yes.
So yeah, like what I could relate from that is very committed care we should have like during that process. Like
Absolutely.
that's the only thing in a repeated basis we used to do at that point of time. Because until a point, whatever which is in our control, we used to try like all possible ways to give our best in like say,
Correct.
keeping them safe. But if suddenly there is 2 days of continuous rain, everything goes to
Correct.
waste. We can't do anything. We can't do anything about that.
Correct, correct, correct. Because see the because that is something which will really really inspire us, right? I mean, when we're trying to put in effort, what
Yeah,
really makes us stay committed, right?
yeah,
One thing is, yes, by example, by trust, that if you put in this effort slowly and steadily, result will come at one point of time and everything has to work, right? But if you're sitting and worrying a lot about all those things which are not really in our hands, that's what I was relating to when you said everything will not be in our control.
yeah,
I mean, the first stage is acceptance of this, right?
yeah,
And without that acceptance, you will not be ready to put your own effort,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So first piece of advice is start sowing your seeds and start putting your effort. The By the time the crop comes into our hand, it will take some time,
Don't
right?
daily
Yes.
dig and see if it's growing or not. Just it will grow.
Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. Yes,
So
go ahead.
that,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
continue with your
that's how
story
it
and
started. Like it took little time for me to
Hmm.
started getting leads. Like I used to join in these WhatsApp communities, like
Okay.
design communities out there. There will be a lot of junk messages, but like there will be people who are like
Hmm.
genuinely sharing opportunities out there. Easy
Huh.
access to like access the recruiter is like these kind of places. Like
Correct.
some random communities, people will share this company is recruiting. This is the recruiter's mail ID. Share your profile over here. Don't
Hmm.
DM me, please. That's their primary request. So they share their email IDs. Like I got 4 or 5 interviews through mailing them at that process because the
Nice.
channel of filtering becomes smaller over there. Like they get
Hmm.
50 to 100 portfolios. They can filter easy. Like
Because
compared to
if
filtering
community is
the,
like small, it is
yeah,
easier to target people, and there's
yeah.
a higher chance of conversion. Makes sense.
Yeah,
Absolutely makes sense.
that
Yeah.
worked. That started working. That the places where we could get access to resources where they share information, people are hiring. So
Hmm.
that's the first place. Like get to know more places where these informations comes in.
Correct.
That is
Correct.
one aspect. Another thing I tried was follow the money, which you used to say very lot of times.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I used to like that's when I started like I still this became a habit for me. I used to read this business articles.
Haha.
Your story like there is an publisher called the Arc. So they used to post these business articles of which startup has raised money recently, which is like mostly
Absolutely.
these
Yep.
stuff. So you used to say when there is money, they are either 90% of the time they are going to grow, they are going to expand. So
Correct. Correct.
see choose the place where you go for the money. So that's if I see a company having getting funded recently or like in the conversations of funding, I used to go to their pages. I used to see people like who are the people out there. I used to
Yes.
like, reach out to those people. Few replied back. Most of the times at the end, worst case they won't get back. I'm every time prepared for it. Why worry
Yeah.
for that? Yeah.
Yes.
Everything
Don't
few
dig and see. Yes.
yeah, few people would revert back like saying that yeah
Hmm.
they have some people have genuine responses like we are not targeting the freshers or like the young designers. Yeah, it's okay, at least there is a communication channel over here.
Yes.
So that's how I started it, and
It's a
that's how
very,
I
very powerful, very, very powerful tip, right? I mean, follow the money, right?
yeah,
Because see, I mean, this is something which you can readily, readily act on right now today. I'm telling
yeah,
everyone. All you need to do is understand where the money is. Go find out if there is any startup, any company which raised money recently, even within 6 months to 1 year. Damn sure they're hiring. There's no doubt about it,
even though they are
right?
not publicly posting, it's
Yes, even
okay
if
to
they're
reach
not
out.
publicly posting that they are hiring, when a good opportunity, when there is a good designer out there, there is no founder out there, no company out there who wants to miss an amazing brain out there. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
right? It don't always just follow all those job posting portals. Instead, look at what Dharani has done, right? Always said like follow the people, not the company, right? Follow the money, follow the people, right? So you follow where the money is. You see that okay, this company got funded recently. Instead of directly applying to the job portal, now find out who the people are.
yeah,
Then talk to them, right?
yeah,
Because that way you will build a layer of trust, a layer of connection, and then like Of course, then what happens is it's all ratios. It's all conversion ratios. You don't have to worry that, hey, everyone I talk to, probably they will not respond. Yes, most of them will not respond. Keep it in your mind that 90%, 99% will not respond. 1% is the conversion ratio. That's the standard. So you talk to 100 people, one, two people will talk to you. One, two people might actually give something meaningful to you. That's
Yeah.
it. You keep this in your brain. You're not really worried about all those 99 people not replying to you. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? So have these things in your mind. Follow the money, follow the people.
Yeah.
Right?
Another thing
Awesome.
like
Go
which
ahead.
really helped me in this phase, like I mean, it didn't help me back then, but now I am realize it will help me now because
Yeah.
that's how LinkedIn works. Like let's say I we have a link, like we are, I'm connect sending you a connection request. You, the reason you accepted my connection request doesn't mean that you are looking forward for me reaching out to you. It won't work like that. You won't know nothing about me, and how
Correct.
can like you trust me for a referral, or how can you trust me for something like that?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
it's not a one-time thing. Like it takes time. Gradually, it takes time. So one personal
Correct.
story I have is
Huh.
so a few days back, I connected with a senior designer in a big company, and
Huh.
he used to regularly post articles. Like he used to write stuff which he felt that I connected with that very much because I liked that thing.
Hmm.
That LinkedIn posts I make are not any very content heavy thing. Like something I notice or something I observe, something I like, I write about it. So
Correct.
that's he used to like do it in a very professional sense. He used to like write newsletters and articles about it.
Huh.
And I have no intention of get going inside his company as of now today, but
Correct.
that's
Correct.
not the intention. But I really liked his content, the what he wrote. So I started genuinely commenting like what I felt. It's instead of just your super article, very insightful. Meaningfully write what we connect. There is a
Yes.
very small
Yes.
article. I like the thing you have mentioned in this article is connecting with me because something which relates with you, or I like this because a personal story, which will feel a genuine interaction instead of just an AI generated good insight.
Yeah.
That is a meaningful interaction, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
Now I like
That's
for a
so
past few
powerful.
days I have been engaging, and now for sure I know he knows me.
Correct.
Now in future, if his company is open having an opening and I am willing to go there, now if I have a conversation with him, he will
Very high
99% he
chance.
will
Very high chance
know
that
me.
you'll
Yeah,
remember
he
your
will
he'll
know me.
refer you. Yes.
So that
This
really
is this
works.
is this is so powerful. I'm telling you, Dharani.
Yeah,
Right. I can also relate very much. Like, I mean, because like in the UX design space, if you see that my content, of course, goes very well. I'm an influencer here, right?
yeah,
You might think that, hey, you know what, I must be getting a lot of DMs and a lot of comments and stuff like this. Is true, right? I get a lot of DMs on my LinkedIn and a lot of stuff like, but very very few people actually go understand the heart of the content
yeah,
and comment or probably ask a question related to that.
yeah,
Very few people, and people who do that, I remember their names.
yeah, exactly.
Right, out of many other people, a lot, thousands of people viewing and commenting, or this AI generated comments. Right, one person who actually goes and understands the heart of it and starts to have a conversation around it, right? And I would be willing to reply and talk to that person as well, right?
Yeah,
This is one hack, right? I'm telling you guys, there are people out there, wonderful people out there who share content, and a lot of people who don't share content as well. Like, all you need to do is, instead of just directly going and saying, hey, you know what, I is there any referral in your company, I want to join your company, it puts a lot of pressure on the other people, right?
yeah,
Because referring is a burdensome thing, right? I mean, on what basis can they trust you and
yeah,
start referring you to the other company, right? On what, and why should they even put the effort to actually talk to you or even, engage with you?
yeah,
But on the other side, the part is, most designers out there really want to share their views. They really want to talk. They really want to
yeah,
mentor. But the only problem is, there are no people are not there to listen.
yeah.
People are just desperate out there. They just don't want to listen.
They are
You
attracted to
go
the
out there,
title, not the
you show
person.
your genuine interest in listening to the person. Start asking a question. Talk about something which probably they posted, or probably something they're trying to do. Start having a conversation about it. State your opinion out there. It's okay, even if it's a mistake. State your opinion out there.
Yeah,
And once you state your opinion and ask them for their opinion, and once you state that I'm willing to change my opinion, I'm willing to be wronged over here, I'm willing to unlearn and learn over here, I'm telling you, people will open up. People will start having conversations with you.
yeah,
And these conversations will lead into opportunities in the future. They might not immediately give you like, hey, there's an opening, you'll join. It might not happen immediately, but these connections, these things are what will change everything. Because you might be just looking at that single person, but I'm going to talk about the platform as well over here.
Okay.
Once you start having these kind of conversation, look at what LinkedIn is trying to do, right? Because LinkedIn's main aim is to make this happen, right? Main
Yeah.
aim is to get people jobs and have these conversations. When
Okay.
you're putting an insightful comment, LinkedIn recognizes that you are someone who is going to engage with these kind of content and will start pushing more content like this. When
Okay.
you start having a conversation on LinkedIn in this particular manner, LinkedIn will understand that, okay, if at all I push these kind of people more, these conversations will happen more.
More.
So
Yeah.
LinkedIn will understand that you are a much better person than all the regular people out there who will just say insightful content. And start pushing your profile to more viewers than just the person who you're actively having a conversation.
Yeah.
Right? I'm telling you guys, like these are all the hidden truths out there which are literally in front of us. Very simple and easy hacks, opportunities out there, but we don't just realize the value of all these things because we have a very narrow mindedness. If there is an opening in a company, it has to be there over there in a portal. I want to apply, or I want to get someone's referral and I'll just ask them to forcibly refer me. Nothing else I'll do. Right? So wonderful, wonderful, Dharani. I think this is one of the most meaningful conversations I've been having in these lives. Right?
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, Dharani. So then what happened? What actually happened in so when you're trying to do,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what are the things which started working out? Like how did you before you tell me story of what actually converted into the internship? What
Okay.
started? What where did you see that some of these seeds are probably becoming saplings?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
some like
Yeah,
yes.
I can think of. Yeah.
Hmm.
First thing was, I was pretty confident that my case study was very good. The way I wrote my case study, or like, I'm not sure, like, as a product, it can be more mature or it can be more better. But the way I have written, I was pretty confident and I got a validation from the person I required it from for the most. So,
Yes, 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 yes.
so that was my initial trust factor on myself. And I started getting leads and I started getting accepted for the for second and the third rounds of the interview, like mostly in most cases my portfolio, like resume and portfolio started getting shortlisted. And what happened was, like, I gave interviews for almost five to six companies till the final round. Oh yeah,
Which
showing my
case study was
portfolio.
that?
The first one, sir, Chronocare.
Yes, yes. Huh. Go ahead. Say it. I'm just showing it for the audience.
Okay, okay, okay. So
Yes.
yeah, so the process, the thing was, my case, I got a validation that okay, this is working. That's the reason I'm getting shortlisted for this further rounds. But the problem was at the end, like almost for all the five to six good companies, I got rejected at the final round. Okay, first company I thought this was not a right match. Okay, something was off, but it became a pattern, like for all the five to six companies I was getting rejected at that last phase.
Hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
I realized, okay, something is wrong here. It's not this just a coincidence, or it's not just the right match factor. Something is need to be corrected from my end. That's when I realized that something is wrong here from my side.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What I started, but I at that point I didn't know, okay, what is wrong. My confidence was my case study is good. That's the reason I'm getting shortlisted. But
Huh.
I'm not getting further beyond this point.
Huh.
So the pattern in the five six interviews was they didn't give me any assignments in specific. They
Huh.
were mostly focused on my work, my
Okay.
portfolio work.
Okay.
I used to like explain my case study, and they used to have questions from the project I did.
Correct. Correct.
So this was the pattern for all these six interviews, and everything
Huh.
got rejected at the final stage.
Got it.
Then what I did was I started reaching out to I need some help right now. I was not able to figure out on my own what is wrong here.
Okay.
I started reaching out to people who are already in the industry, and I told them, see, like, I can you have a mock interview for me? I need to give, I mean, I need to present myself as how I present in a proper interview, and I would love to have a feedback from you guys,
Hmm.
because the
Okay.
company feedback, no one gave me feedback. Like, we can't blame them. There
Correct.
will be a whole
Correct.
lot of
Correct.
drama happening
Yes.
at their end. So
Yes. Yeah.
I need some feedback at the real time. So I spoke with three people. Like I spoke with three mentors out there.
Huh.
Designers who are already working in different companies,
Okay.
and they all told one same point. The thing
Okay.
is, Dharani, your case study is good. I also agree that that's the reason you're getting shortlisted. But this long form case study work in a 10 to 20-minute interview where you have to pitch them.
Correct.
So this
Correct.
is the
Correct.
reason not working because at the fifth minute of our conversation, I lost interest in it. I was not able to focus
Correct. Correct.
because
Correct.
you
Correct.
speak something. There is a hell lot of content you are showing on screen as a medium case study.
Very
Because
difficult to
I
follow.
don't have time
Yes.
to connect both, and I don't have the two-way conversation factor is not here. I guess that is the problem with you, is what the feedback I got. Then
Yes.
what I made was I made a small presentation, a quick
Perfect.
presentation, which is
Perfect.
only
Yes.
for interviews.
Yes.
I didn't post it public or I didn't have it in my portfolio. Because it was very narrowed down, like just the minimal details, just the details which is enough to have a conversation was the
Yes.
presentation all about. Then it started working. Then like
This
people
this
were
is so
able
much,
to have a
such a good
conversation.
validation, I'm telling you, Dharani. Because actually, what was happening is this was literally last Sunday. Okay,
Okay.
so the current batch people are actually working on the capstone project,
Okay.
right? So what we do is so we make multiple assets. So what I call it is preparing all the assets for the journey of a recruit,
Okay.
right? And what the concept I talk about, the same thing back then also we were talking about this concept like designing for multiple stages of attention of a recruiter. Let's say you're
Yeah.
making a LinkedIn post. At that point, all you're designing for is getting the attention that, hey, you know what? You're having a hook of like, your product is just literally showcasing one feature. That's it. You're just designing for that particular point, not for detailed explanation, not for detailed reading of like slides and stuff like that, right? Just that one small hook to, let us say, writing a detailed case study which will give you the impression that this guy has actually worked, a lot of thought process has been put in, a lot of stories has come, a lot of decisions are happening, right? And then also a presentation which will actually work when you are there in person and trying to talk, when
Yeah.
you want to talk more and you want to show less, right?
Yeah.
And then students were asking, there was a particular student who asked, Anudeep, I anyway made this presentation. Why do I need that particular case study, right? And why should I make that video? And I was like, guys, let me tell you, it is important to design multiple assets for multiple stages of the
Yeah.
journey of an interviewer. I don't even call it as interviewing process, right? Because we just don't want to consider it as a
Traditional
mechanical
thing.
process, right?
Yeah.
We want to call it as a journey of a recruiter. We empathize that the recruiter is a person,
Yeah.
right? And I'm telling you, these are the things which really differentiate the kind of things we do, right?
Yeah.
So you empathize the journey of a recruiter and you design the assets to help them understand about you,
Yeah.
right? And this is such a wonderful story. I think if there are people listening, out there from the cohort, right? This is the advice. Like, this is why you are making multiple assets out there, right? And the
Yeah.
difference between this case study and the presentation, case study has detailed thought process,
Yeah.
right? And it is for consuming by themselves. You give them
Yeah.
a case study, they look at the case study, right? I'm also going to present your case study as we uh, speak,
Yeah. Sure.
right? So when they're looking at your case study, it is for themselves to consume. This is not like basically having a conversation with another person, but you are having a conversation with the case study out there.
Yeah.
And case study helps drastically when they want to understand, hey, are you a person who really has a very good thought process, right? And that's why we focus so much on decisions, right?
Yeah.
Is this the capstone one? This
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
right?
This
Dharani?
is the one. This
Yes,
is the one.
right?
Like the critical decisions will be down, I guess.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no, that's the point. Like, I mean, the decisions about why you made those small changes, like, we focus so much on those decisions,
Yeah.
right? Why? Because people are trying to consume your thought process.
Yeah.
And this has given you good conversion rate when people are like, hey, looking at your case study and like, oh, this is very good, right?
Yeah.
I think we should definitely have a conversation with the person.
Yes.
But then what happens if you're like, okay, now that you have called me to an interview, what I'll do, I'll keep scrolling on the case study and I'll
Uh,
keep explaining the points. There is so much to consume here, there is so much you are trying to say,
yeah.
and just becomes like hosh posh, right?
Yeah.
Instead, you didn't post the presentation over here, isn't it?
No, sir. No, I didn't have it in here.
No problem, right? So instead, if you have that presentation form where you are speaking much lesser things,
Yeah.
where you are focusing on talking about a journey, right? You are showcasing the results, you're showcasing the screens. The screens are there, which is showcasing the journey of a user, and then you are doing the talking behind what all has happened over there, what has led to that, right? That will be really, really impactful in a conversation, in an interview.
Don't.
Wonderful. So this is good. And absolutely loved one thing, Dharani, how you iterated on your funnel,
Yeah.
the interviewing funnel, right?
Yeah.
You're like not just blindly just going like every time I'll follow the same process, right? That's why when I talk about the match, I talk about two things, right? Changing the girl and changing yourself as well, like
Yeah.
working on iterating yourself and also changing the girl. Don't just worry about the same girl.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to new places, applying to newer places, finding a better match, right? But on the other hand, what is the learning you had from the previous interview where you are trying to change yourself? Why do you think it's not working? And the answer to actually go and make changes is testing. That's exactly what Dharani did.
Yeah.
Go find people and test his case study, test his approach,
Yeah.
and he got the very good feedback, straightforward feedback. Because when you go to professionals out there, when you present things out there, people want to give you focused feedback, and they said exactly what he had to hear. You know what, I'm losing focus over here, make something so that I can gain focus, right? And
Don't.
that's it, he got the answer in the entire funnel. He got the answer, right? And let me tell you one more thing, one more mistake, Dharani, what people do over here is, because someone told this, hey, you know what, I'm losing focus, they consider their entire case study waste, the entire video waste, and they put the entire focus only on the presentation.
No. Yeah.
Basically what's happening is you don't have to disrupt the entire funnel out there.
Yeah.
What is working at different stages of the journey of the recruiter, you need to have all those assets.
Yeah.
You don't just delete that video because nobody seems to be liking that. No, that is where your top of the funnel is, that is where everyone is looking at. That is where you zoom in, and then the case study is working at the screening side. That is, then you go and make this presentation, this is what is working out there. You make change in this micro part of the funnel, don't destroy everything, right? Beautiful, man. This is a wonderful story. I think this particular part of the story which we had in this entire life, I think I'm going to package it as a separate video and I'm going to post it. It's going to help a lot more people, a lot of people out there. If you are there out watching this live, and if this is something which has really inspired you and has given you points to take home, please put your learning out there in the comment, right? And it will really, really inspire not just me, but inspire Dharani, because the feeling that something which you have done and you're speaking is changing other people's lives, I think Dharani can happily sleep today, like, and for many days,
Don't.
right? Please put it, drop comments out there, and it will drastically help Dharani and a lot of other people who to be similarly inspired like the way you are, right? Awesome. Okay, so what actually happened, Dharani? What actually happened in the interview which landed you the internship? So what
Yeah.
actually happened there?
So actually, like post this, the
Huh.
first thing I applied, I was like that's the job I got the internship for. So their process was they gave an assignment, and like post the assignment, we had like the interview calls about that. So I was expecting a lot of things. That was also one serious learning. No recruiter is the same. Like no one asks similar
Yes.
questions. They don't have a question bank.
This is so good, man. I mean, yes, this looks so.
Sometimes like you be sure of, okay, they will ask something about my project, they will have something about my assignment.
Yes.
He was like because he was the co-founder of the company, the
Hmm.
final interview call. He
Hmm.
saw previously saw my assignment work, and he previously saw other stuff. So his motive was he needed to know me little bit as a person, not
Yes.
less, or 40% as a designer and 60% as a person, the person who will be willing to commit, or a person who will be willing to learn. That kind of characteristics is what he is expecting from a person. So
Yes.
he
Yes.
he
Yes.
he had he started having very general conversations like, okay, how did you get into design and how did you do the stuff, like, okay, what do you do, he asked. I said I'm in my final year of my engineering degree. Then why design is the first question he asked. Then I told the story of something, this is what personally connecting with me and something I wish to do as a longer term. And I told whole the story, and he was like, those were the points he was impressed with. Because
Correct. Correct.
yeah, like I saw a senior designer telling, at one stage of my career I can like easily identify bluff. So I know he was in the stage and he knew what a genuine content is and he knew what if I'm trying to make up or something. So then he
Absolutely.
spoke about what do you like look for in a which is your good favorite go-to product or a favorite product which you look for design inspirations. Why do you do that? It was very like I didn't have that kind of interview experience in the past. After that interview, I was not very sure I'm going to get that because I didn't know how I performed itself. I was like very candid at that point of time. But later, after I got the job, after a month in the internship, I asked him like what really worked for you and me, and he said you were like genuine in that. There were I
Not
mean he has something I didn't know that. I told him I didn't know, and he liked that particularly.
correct.
So that
You know
you
why
were
all
honest
this,
about it. Sorry.
you know why all this worked, Dharani,
Yeah.
right? If you remember, we used to talk about this in our interviewing modules and all. The first thing which I always used to say is the interview is not to your portfolio, not to your case study, not to the assets. The interview is to the person.
Yeah.
They are hiring you, not
Yeah.
your portfolio.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why in an interview, that's fundamentally the point. See, your assets are only going to be like proof of work,
Yeah.
proof of the person, proof of the skills, right? This is going to land you to like, okay, fine, so hey, like it's important. I'm not saying the assets are not important. The assets are very important, right? Without the assets, then you're only bluffing.
Yeah.
Right? When you have the assets, the base layer of trust is there. But then what is really really important, I really loved the way you told the ratio, right? 40% my work and 60% the kind of person I am.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true, because you're hiring the person.
Yeah.
You are hiring the player who will now go and play the game
Yeah.
out there, because there's nothing they will do with your existing case study.
Yeah.
Right? They're not hiring a case study because there's nothing they can do with it.
Yeah.
But the kind of person you are when they hire will actually perform well and play very well out there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, and the reason I'm saying play is because I keep relating it to, hiring a player, hiring like a cricketer, right? You can't just say, hey, you know what, I am Rahul Dravid. I had a very great career back then. Please hire me right now. Probably Rahul Dravid is still fit and can play. I'm not doubting, but it doesn't work like that, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because you have a wonderful portfolio doesn't work. If today you're not in practice, today
Yeah.
you're not that person representing your portfolio,
Yeah.
right? And that's why hiring is the person, and when you have to focus on becoming the person who is a designer,
Yeah.
right? And I
Exactly.
think that's one thing we have nailed. Like that's one thing. Like even if you delay your assets, that's one thing I'm really proud of my students is they have become the persons,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
200% I'm confident on that.
Yes. Yes, this is really interesting, and I really loved the fact that you actually went back and asked like why do you think you actually
Yeah.
finally made the higher call?
He
And one
was
more thing,
into
Dharani,
yeah.
there's one more thing in the interviews. Sometimes it can happen like so when you're talking in an interview, you are not sure whether you're going to actually make it or not.
Yeah.
I'll give you one trick from what you actually shared. If at all the person is continuing the conversation, asking you more questions, drilling you more, most probably you'll make it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if they're not really interested, they've taken the decision already. Okay, I don't think we are going to go ahead with the candidate,
Yeah.
right?
Now you can see the interview call I got rejected, the interview call I got selected. Now it's flashing in my brain. They
Correct.
were very polite and they said, "Thank you, you can go now." And he was the person who was asking me questions.
Correct, correct. Especially when you're like they go to difficult questions, and especially right, and this is the very very good turning point you said. Like when for things which you don't know, you're just clearly very clear about. Hey, I don't know about this, right? But I am a student for life, as we keep calling it, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's it. You are the human who will continuously learn, and you are not really just having the attitude that I'm obviously supposed to know everything in UX design. Only then I'll start getting hired, right?
Yeah.
You don't have that attitude.
I mean, like
Hmm.
one bigger thing I realized
Yes.
at that point of time was the recruiters' mentality. Like they, what they have comes in their mind at that point, they do that. Like they don't have a fixed thing. I should do this. What he asked me was suddenly we were in a Teams call, and
Huh.
okay, tell me a heuristic principle. Which tell me few heuristic principle. I told one or two three things.
Huh.
Okay,
Huh.
now identify that heuristic principles in the layout we have in our screen right now.
Ah,
Like instant
this has been
assignment.
hundreds of times.
nice. Like it like took me back to the times where I used to practice having a screen in front of. I was like, it was not very new to me because I used to do that regularly, sir.
Yes.
But that can
Yes.
happen. Anything can happen. That we can't like fix that this is going to happen or no probabilities that this might happen. Anything
Yes.
will happen at that point of time.
I love the statement you said. They don't carry question banks.
Yeah.
So throw out all those question banks, 10 important questions, 50 important interview questions, and like throw out all that. Become the person. You will naturally talk. Be in the practice, become the person. You will naturally be able to answer all the questions out there.
Yeah.
Right? So powerful, man. This is really interesting, very inspiring, and it is so inspiring that it just gives me the confidence that I am doing the right thing,
Yes.
right? Over the last few years, these are the kinds of stories which actually give me the conviction. Like no matter what people in public think out there, like what any of the, like what conceptions competitors have or anyone out there has, irrespective of all that, these are the validations which will tell you, hey, you know what, you are going in the right direction, you are building people right from the ground up, and these things will impact their entire life, right? You're
Truly.
not just delivering a course which is, which is going to start and end and then everything is delivered, downloaded to your brain and gone, right? You're actually bringing a change in the person, right?
The two
So
things
thank you.
actually. What one thing is what I told in our graduation days. Like I what I told was, sir, thank you for not making me a good designer, but for making me a better person. Like that was very personal to me because I have seen the shift before before 6 months and after 6 months. Like
Yes.
that's very like close to me because that's what really happened. And when people ask me about our program, like
Huh.
only one thing I used to say, if you want this program to work, you have to commit. Without commitment, 200% it won't work for you.
Correct, correct, correct. It absolutely
So
won't work for you if you just think that, I will just go out there and like sit like a manufacturing process and like then come out of a factory product, right?
yeah,
Sorry, it
you'll
just
be a
doesn't work.
factory product only.
Yeah. Every designer who comes out of the program is entirely different. Their stories are
Yeah,
different, their approach is different because they are themselves. They'll
they are
come out
themselves.
with something very unique about them. Their fundamental
Yeah.
qualities really come out, and that's how they find their careers, and they're happy doing those things
Yes. Yes.
because they have been built completely ground up, right? I'm so happy about that. Yes, so let's continue our story, right? I think people absolutely are loving this conversation. If you're loving this conversation on the chat, please go and share your thoughts out there for us on the live chats we're looking at on LinkedIn and YouTube. Please do share your comments out there. Yes, and meanwhile, if you are having any questions, please keep dropping the questions as well as we go into the next story from Dharani. That is, Dharani, what happened? How did you how did you shift from this internship, and how did you actually finally land on an opportunity,
Yes.
right?
So yeah.
And definitely we will talk about that story
Yes.
when you had the two offers and like two opportunities, and then you made that call. We'll talk about that. But yes, so what actually happened here? Yeah.
Yeah, sir. So after getting into the internship, it was a very good internship for me. Like
Huh.
I learned a lot from there. Like the people were too good there, and it was going very smooth. So there was a possibility for me to getting a full-time conversion in that company itself. My
Yes.
trajectory or like my goals were different for the person I was there during that internship. Okay, either I get a full-time opportunity here or I go somewhere else post the internship. But this
Yes.
the founding designer thing I'm as a this job was all of a sudden it came to me. It came to me through a friend who was a developer who was inside that company, and
Yes.
they were in a serious need for a designer, and then she mentioned that we are looking for a designer. Are you in it? Interested in it? So okay, let me have a call with them. Let me know them first. What they are offering and what they are looking for as a designer. And
Hmm.
then I got a call with the co-founder of that company, and I had a different thought in my mind before having that
Hmm.
call. I need a place. Like internship was a different story. Like internship,
Okay.
the kind of work we do in an internship is like work is good, but the level of work is different.
Okay.
Because it's just a normal internship.
Huh.
But I had a wish or I had something in me that okay, I need to be in a place where I could have the maximum of ownership of the product.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
I could like have impact not just in design, where I could be in a place to have conversations outside the design. Like
Hmm.
product is per tech, the product is the whole tree,
Correct.
not just focusing on one branch. Design is one branch of the tree, tech
Correct.
is
Correct.
another branch, management the product is another branch. To be a better designer, what I felt was I need to have an understanding in all three branches, not just
Yes.
design.
Yes.
this
Yes.
this I
Absolutely.
had in my mind, but I didn't get a very comfortable space to have this in my internship. So when
Correct.
this opportunity came, that thought became more proactive for me. Like, okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
if I
Hmm.
get in this place, I will be the founding designer. I know what are the stakes here, but still I will be having the maximum of the ownership of the task I do. I will be
Got it.
directly collaborating with the co-founders, who is like the business persons of the product, and I will
Got
be
it.
directly collaborating with the developers. So it's like working in a proper product. So
Yes.
yeah, this I
It's
have as
a
a wish for me. So
very
that's
interesting insight and very much absolutely how every designer should think out there.
yeah,
That is, um, and I genuinely wish we spoke a lot about it, right? We
yeah,
speak a lot about it, and I'm damn sure. I think I should do sessions for all those people who are like, have gone into the industry, and I think they should come back. I think we should do
yeah,
something out there, and I think we can
great,
share more of these stories. But this is one thing which will really help, right? That
yeah,
is, are you just literally just focusing only on design, or are you also focused on every other thing which is actually helping and
influencing the product.
impacting a business
Yeah,
and influencing a product, right? Because the product is not just made only by its one leg, that is design,
design.
right? There is a product team out there, there's a marketing team out there, there is like partnerships team out there, like multiple teams out there, right? This business team, analytics team, multiple teams out there, all of them contribute, and that is how a product is actually made, including customer service as well, right?
Yeah,
How well do you, I call this as empathizing the stakeholders, right?
yeah,
Because as a designer, this was there in one of our workbooks as well, right?
yeah,
As a
yeah.
designer, empathy
That's
doesn't
the roots.
just, right? Empathy does is not just about the user. Empathy is also about the stakeholders you have.
Yeah,
You need to empathize because they are also people. You need to
yeah,
empathize them, and you need to empathize the users. Only then you'll be able to deliver the design. Or
yeah,
else you can have great concepts on your Figma files.
yeah,
But if you don't understand what's happening in the product, if you don't understand what's happening with the dev out there, you will not be able to deliver. Like I keep telling this Ragi Mudda story, right? The government can have an amazing midday meals plan, but none of it will come. Like you'll probably just end up getting one ragi mudda in your plate
great.
if if the government doesn't empathize all the factors which are influenced in finally delivering that food to the student,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So the design has to be made with understanding all the stakeholders who are involved in the game, and that's when
yes,
you truly become a designer. That's when you truly become a user experience designer,
yes,
because
yes.
unless your users experience your design,
Good point.
you can't call yourself a user experience designer, right? Because you can't just say, "It's sitting on a Figma file, it's a wonderful experience." Sorry, there is no user experiencing it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I
It's
can
so
like tell you
important,
with
man. Yes.
a story which has happened few days back.
Huh.
So
Okay.
that would like give more clarity on what how I think on this aspect.
Yeah.
Like the thing on the aspect of how like I collaborate with these multiple people.
Yes.
So let's say
Yes.
there is a task. In
Huh.
any task, we are building a feature. Let's say, as
Okay.
a designer, like the sorry sir,
Good. 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 Say
yeah,
it. Say it. Huh.
there are n number of ways we can come up with a solution. Like
Correct.
we will be proudly showing this is a solution, this is one variation, this is one variation, this is one variation, and all these variations can be impressive as you see in a design perspective,
Correct.
visually, and as an experience wise when you sell it to your stakeholders. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, if these designs really with 80 to 90% accuracy, if it gets converted into development and gets into the usage, that's when it works.
Correct.
Otherwise it's still art. It's
Correct.
still simple stuff.
It's not. It's not design.
So what I did was, there was a task, and our stakeholder gave me a context. My CEO gave me a context of this is
Huh.
what we need to build.
Hmm.
So instead of direct, that was very minimal context.
Uh-huh.
So instead of directly getting back to them, I started questioning, like started figuring out the space first, and then I went with questions to them. Then they gave me the answers for it. Now, like there are two aspects. One, that there is a thing as a user experience perspective. We can, if for example, if this button is not here, it would be
Ah,
convenient for the user. Is in a design perspective, you say. But
correct.
as a business, they say we need this because it will have an impact on the business. Is what they say, and our
Hmm.
job is to find a middle ground there. We
Hmm.
can't neglect that both ends.
Huh.
And after all this process, at the if
Then the test.
developer says whatever you say is not is not it won't work with this time frame, then it's all again a waste. So
Correct.
what I did was I spoke with all my stakeholders. Okay, this is what
Correct.
I'm going to build. After like when we all three are in the same page only, I started getting more into work. Then I related my work to the user. Okay, is this really simple? Because simplicity is the money in medtech. The one thing I understood for the past few
Ah,
months is simplicity is what much needed thing over here. We
correct.
can like show it in a very visually convincing way, very beautiful interactions, all that stuff. But what's the point? That person is spending 5 minutes to enter a patient's details. He is handling 6, 7 tasks simultaneously.
Correct.
What impact will your interaction have, or what impact will a very simple design have? Simple is very hard, sir. Interactions can be like we can work on that. That ideas comes faster, but
Correct.
making them simple is the hardest part.
You are absolutely right. Absolutely right. Making it simpler is more difficult than making it absolutely grand, right? And this
Grand is
is
taking less time.
and you have a lot of tools to do that, right?
Yeah.
It
So
really,
yeah,
really requires that human to actually make it really, really simple and really identify what micro interaction at what level of interaction can really, really, really solve that particular situation out there, right? And
yes,
really requires that empathy,
yes,
right? And in fact, the point you've brought in about having empathy to developers, talking to the team, right? All this is so important that people actually generally a lot of times they complain. As a
yes,
designer, I'm making a like great design out there, but my developers are not able to develop it, right? And I've had people calling their developers as minions, like people just simply blaming their developers. I mean, of course, it's probably within designers, like to probably have some team bonding. You can have some bitching about it. Keeps happening. You keep bitching about other teams, but apart from those things, right? It is very, very important that you really understand what is really practical. And in
yeah,
fact, but then you can ask this question, right? Hey, you know what? If you're only always constrained by what is practical, then when is it the time we'll actually get to go and do innovation out there and
yeah,
do anything out there, right? And that's why, as a designer, in your mindset itself, there are two stages. There is a stage where you actually expand and generate a lot of ideas and do a lot of explorative stuff,
yeah,
and then there is a stage where you actually cut down and take compromises and
yeah,
go and find out what is very practical,
yes.
right? And if you're not believing me, I'm not the only one telling it. This is literally the divergent and convergent process, and this
Convergence,
is
double
literally
diamond thing.
the double diamond process, right? Explained in a completely non-textbook way, right?
One,
So this is exactly how a designer thinks, right? There are these two phases where you're diverging, where you're thinking about a lot of ideas, all the creative stuff and all that. We sometimes we call it as North Star design, like we
yeah,
want to do all these kinds of things, right? So we engage in that phase. From that, we set our vision, and then we say, hey, you know what? These are all the practical constraints. Like this is what can be developed. This will take too much time to ship. This cannot be marketed. This will not help the business. We bring in all those constraints, and we keep converging, and actually find like come at a balance. The balance you set, right? The balance which can actually be delivered, which will actually become the actual user experience,
yes, yes,
right? I'm so proud, man. I'm so proud of you, Dharani, and my students that I am sending people who are actually designers, who are like valuable gems out there in the industry. When you're sharing this story to me, I know, like, yes, designer. I have given a gem to the industry out there. That's it, right? I'm so proud, man. I'm really, really so proud that you coming back and telling these stories is
thank you.
absolutely inspiring me, right?
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
This
One
is
beautiful part
uh,
is this is not a one-time thing. Like we can't crack it all of a sudden. Like having this understanding doesn't mean that I apply and do it every perfectly. I do
yeah.
it every time. It happens in iterative cycle. Sometimes I mess up somewhere else, but I learn from that. Like okay, this stakeholder, there's a problem with this situation because of this scenario. Let me keep this in mind. I'll try to improve it in the next task.
Yes.
It's always not the happy flow, beautiful road kind of step. Ups
And
and
in
downs are
fact,
obviously there.
you remember the kind of stuff we did to actually come to this maturity of
Yeah,
two things over here. One, your ability to actually share your opinion
Yes.
out there, well knowing that it might be wrong. There is nothing right or wrong, but what matters is my opinion. And then your ability to actually take in arguments from other stakeholders,
Yes.
right? The secret is simple, guys. For more than 6 months, for more than 8 months, probably daily in our community, all we did was have debates.
Debates.
Take some point, debate. You tell your point of view, ask other people to tell their point of view, start debate. And debates help you so much, I'm telling you. Because at one point, you will realize that there is nothing called as absolute truth,
Yes.
right? It is a bunch of people trying to achieve a bunch of things, trying to balance out. Everyone has their vision, and then everyone gets together, coming to one kind of a truth for that particular situation,
Yes.
right? Right, at Amazon, we call it as bias for action.
Oh, okay.
How is it that the leaders are having all these debates, right? And how are they coming to take that bias to
Okay.
actually go and take that action? Right? They're not waiting until they'll actually go and find perfect answers where everyone is aligned, right? And there's another principle which Amazon says, which is called as disagree and commit.
Oh,
So
okay.
leaders are all there, everyone is debating. Then for the taking the bias of doing that action because delivering is more valuable to the user, all of you, whether you agree or disagree, you commit to it.
Comment.
You commit as if you agree,
Ah, nice.
right? When Amazon itself talks about it and puts it in foundational principles, and this is what we exactly follow, right? At Amazon, right? So you have to understand the importance of understanding that everything is not right. There is no absolute truth out there, right? Everyone has different viewpoints. That's why it is very important to build your own viewpoint as a designer,
Yeah.
right? And bring in your arguments out there. So this is so good. This is so good, Dharani. And I think now you should share the story, that story what we had, like the day you made a call, right? You
Call.
had that offer, and also can you remind me that entire story, what actually happened?
So yeah, like there were the dilemma was in two parts. Either I
Huh.
complete my internship, like complete my internship. There was a 1 month of internship left pending at that point
Huh.
of time. Either I
Huh.
complete finish my internship, then if they are still available for me, I can go to them, or like I can go somewhere else. Because like, is it okay to drop my internship, or is it okay to stop my internship at that
Yeah,
point of time? Am I ready to sacrifice something for another thing? Was one confusion, and another this was the one con of it. Another thing was I'm getting into that new space where I have an expectation checklist. Like these are the things I want as a designer for me, and that
yeah.
checklist in this was satisfying most of the things.
Huh.
So I was not sure whether I can choose this by sacrificing this, or like whether take this call or not. Was the dilemma. I called you, and
Yes.
you said, like, you gave me a 5 minute talk of you know what, you can try this, like this is a product company, and if you have trust, that is all fine. At the end of the time, you asked me what is your age, ra? I told 21, sir. Like, be whatever you want, you still have that drive in your life. That hit me very hard.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. I remember. So that day, I was actually in a Subway restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so and I see your message about this dilemma, and like I think this requires a call, right? I somehow like I remember that call. I remember a tree which I'm looking at while I'm talking at you, right? And then all this, okay, but what's your age? Dharani? Like 21. At 21, why are you thinking so much? You have you have 5 years more where you can literally go and do all the wrong things, join the wrong company, work with the wrong team, make all those mistakes, deliver very bad design. Everything you can still do at this particular age, and everything will make you learn a lot, right? And you'll still have a lot of time,
Yes.
right? So I think that is one of the very important lessons which we'll have to learn. That is, firstly, one, make mistakes. That's absolutely how you're going to learn,
It's okay.
right? Absolutely, go make mistakes. I'm not even saying, there are people who argue with me on LinkedIn over it. How can your mentor ask to make mistakes? You are making people in such a way that will create a huge business loss, right? I'm saying I am actually creating people who will become very efficient very quickly,
Okay.
because you are thinking that you can force a person to not make mistakes and train them in such a way that they'll never make mistakes. It
Yeah,
is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. In fact, more mistakes will happen when you actually
yeah.
pressurize them, keeping hundreds of rules of not making
Those
mistakes, right?
costlier mistakes will happen then only.
Absolutely, absolutely. You'll end up absolutely hiring very wrong people, right? You
Yeah.
actually go make mistakes. When the environment supports you to quickly learn from your mistakes, I'm telling you, you will become very efficient and you will actually understand the system in a much, much better manner than coming from a perfectionist mentality or an idealistic mentality of how a company should
Yes.
literally work with those rules, right? So that's why, absolutely, if you want to become very valuable in a company out there, go make mistakes, document your mistakes, learn from those mistakes, just like what Dharani did, right? Went, did the wrong interviews out there, like, not worried to go and do those interviews like a farmer, not really worried, right? I'll put those things, I'll not dig up and see if there is growing. Go out there, do those things, and then test, see what's happening, see what is not working out, test
Yeah.
out, and refine yourself,
Yes.
right? Learning from those mistakes. Oh, this is what I have, like, I need to make a presentation out there, make that small change, go into the
Applying
micros
design
and
thinking to the own life only, not just design, not just career. Design thinking in life.
right. Right,
I
and
suddenly
absolutely.
remembered one point, sir. Like you
Huh.
used to speak about this, like this, this suddenly jolted up.
Yes.
You one fine day you told me that utilize this space well because I am setting you a confined ground. I am giving you a comfortable ground where you can easy, like comfortably make mistakes and learn.
Yes.
That
Yes.
time I understood just as English. Okay, he's saying something. After the
Okay.
program, when I was making those mistakes without those boundaries or the ground, that's when I realized this. Okay,
Correct,
there is a
correct,
difference
correct,
now.
correct. Yes, every time a batch joins, right? I actually tell this story. Like right now, imagine I like you're learning driving. You're literally sitting in front of the steering wheel, right? And there beside you, like that other driver. Now you're in an open ground. You're not actually in a road. So
Yeah,
do not worry about hitting that tree. Do not worry about hitting another car.
yes,
Just drive. Right now you're in that space. So just drive. Slowly I'll keep bringing in trees.
yeah,
I'll keep bringing in the roads. I'll do all these things. And by the end of it, when you actually go and drive on the road, you will drive very comfortably.
yeah.
Right?
Get comfortable with the car, then get comfortable with the road.
Right?
Yeah,
Absolutely, man. Absolutely proud of the person you have become, and absolutely proud of myself as well.
yes.
Right? I'm so happy. I'm so happy we had this conversation.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm damn sure all the people who are watching have also been really, really, really inspired. And I'm damn sure they have a lot of takeaways from whatever we have. Right? And let us just quickly check the comments and
Okay.
see what people have been talking about. There's a lot of uh, Anudeep is in love. Okay. Your friend Sabili.
Yeah,
Dharani's friends assemble. Dear. Yes. Yashasvi, thank you so much for conducting this session. Uh, you have a question here from Yashasvi who says, how can you please highlight on how you balanced your caring nature and managed not going overboard? I'm just sharing that on the screen.
okay.
Can you please highlight on how you balance your caring nature and manage not being overboard
Well, this
or
this is
going
the
overboard?
difficult, hardest question I have got in this whole conversation. Honestly speaking, like if this question is for career, there is a different answer because there are limitations. There are things I don't have any access to, and it's practically okay to accept that. I
Correct.
can't do anything about it if it's in a job or it's in a career. But when it comes to a personal perspective, you have to go through the process. You have to feel 5 4 times. Then sixth time you will realize it's okay. You don't have to feel this much. So
This
it's again
this
a
sounds like
learning
Dharan's
process.
relationship advice.
It ended up like that.
Yeah. No,
That's
this
only.
so Yashasvi, right, and anyone else who has this thing about the having the caring nature and not getting overboard. See, it's always about balancing when you're doing something rational and when you're doing something emotional, right? Be it career, be it personal relationships, anywhere. See, any situation will trigger emotions to us, right? And caring itself is an emotion, right? You care about something. Even like, let's say in your company, like, let's say designing something, and you see that user should be able to do something. Naturally, as a designer, as an empathetic person, you will be triggered with an emotion. Who, you know what, I need to enable this. I think this will give them like, oh, this will make them feel like wow, right? So naturally, emotions will come as a person, but where you need to draw a line is this emotion consuming me, or is this emotion making me take a rational decision and start thinking about it and working towards it, right? And you need to consciously do this every time. It always starts with an emotional trigger. Convert that emotion into action items and then leave out the emotion, right? Don't get consumed by the emotion. That's when you will not get overboard, right? Like even in personal relationships, let's say there's some problem or something happening, and then are you just get stuck in that emotion? Because in emotion we do a lot of things, we say a lot of things, we shout, or we less over care, or like then like all the drama, everything happens, but no change really happens, because when we are stuck with that emotion, nothing gets into action, right? The emotion triggers something, and then we're like, okay, let us now discuss action points. Like, how do we help ourselves? How do we work on this long term? You bring it into a rational conversation, and you give the other person the space to work on those things. Relationships will always stay long and long, right? So that's Dharni's relationship advice. I'm packaging it as your words, not my words. Before my wife watches this live and says, okay, now you come apply it. Yeah. So yes, try doing an offline podcast. Yes, Akhilesh, I think we will definitely go and slowly scale this up. I'll probably call people offline to a studio. I'll set up a studio where we can probably have a nice podcast setup, like people can talk. So yes, different aspects, different parts of journey of a recruiter. It's so clearer right now. Yes, Basant Raj, Basant is right now doing the program,
Oh,
and I think with these examples is how people will actually understand the importance of what we are discussing right now, the journey of a recruiter and all the importance of it, right? So the personality shift is so relatable. The shift of no challenge is stopping any challenge ahead. With time, consistency, anything can be overcome. Such a great energy watching this. Same Basant Raj saying this. Design life day by day, piece by piece, testing and improving life journey. Nicely put, Dharani. Right? You have a big fan, Basant.
thank you.
Right? So good to hear that. Okay, so yes, so Dharani, with that being said, I think this was one of the most engaging sessions, and I really loved every minute of the conversation we had over here. It was really, really inspiring. I think just it's around 2 hours, and just time just
Wow,
flew by without even realizing.
I didn't know that.
And, and I know we can keep going on, and we don't even feel that there's a stop. But yes, I think with that we should definitely call it a day, and absolutely have a lot of pointers for myself as well, even as UX Sandeep, as a designer, as a design mentor. There is a lot of learnings which I have from this, and in fact, I have devised a complete funnel strategy from whatever you explained,
Wow,
right? Where what is, like, when you spoke about that video which you watched, and how your friend spoke about UX design.
yeah,
It's like, okay, I just heard about UX design. Like, then I was realizing, okay, fine. Now this is one persona who will actually refer. Probably they'll not get into, but this is where reach is required. When you spoke about that Google Pay video, okay, this is where actual engagement happens and conversion happens. So now I'm like, right,
seriously,
like
yeah.
we're coming with the entire circular strategy, like what all
He,
types of
he's
content.
the first thing he hears is UX design is about something screens. Okay, the person first he will type UX design screen. My video should pop up because that should have some SEO content linked to that. Brilliant strategy.
Yeah. Right. So right from that to a lot of these learnings, I think each of the points which we discussed, and especially the farmer analogies which we had. I'll visit your village, Dharani, and I'm sure this is going to happen.
Thank you.
Let's go to your home. Let's go to your farm, and I'll
Yes.
do a vlog from there.
Sure, sure.
Right? Let's connect how the whole thing about farming, and how is it that you will become a good designer. How will you become the person who is the designer, right? I think we will definitely do that vlog from there, and because there's a lot of learning from there, right?
Yes.
In the way we have to invest in ourselves, the way we have to sow the seeds for
Yeah.
getting those results, right? Definitely we should do that. And a lot of these hacks which really came out from the video, all the things about how is it that you can connect with the recruiters, how do you follow the money, how do you follow the people, right? How every recruiter is different, how being the person is as important or probably more important than just the assets.
Yes.
How is it that you have to understand the journey of a recruiter, design your funnel? How do you make iterations to that funnel by going and testing out with people out there?
Yeah.
What are the things which you need to go? What can be the talking points when you have to go out there and talk to people out there, or the designers, senior designers, and mentors?
Yes.
Try to not just simply be desperate and just simply keep asking for opportunities. Instead, go and have very specific comments, talking points out there from the
Yeah.
heart of what they actually wanted to share, and how easy it is to actually get their attention and start having conversations. A lot of
Like,
learnings.
I just add one small thing. Like
Yes,
the
yes.
we had a rough interview for the conversion of this full time job.
Huh.
They were not, they didn't even see my work properly. They just had a glance. Like we just had conversation. The bet was like, as in startup pitches, they say the bet is on the
Yes.
founder. It's like the bet
Yes.
was on me, not on my work. Like when I told about this, my CEO was like, this really, you have this much clarity at this point of time. The right person is what she told me.
Dude, this is amazing. I think this is like the perfect, perfect thing what you have said, right? I mean, at 21 you have this clarity. Huh? Oh, okay, wait. There's some AI sitting in the back of your head. Like, come on, let's open it and see. And I can imagine my logo coming out from there. This is good, man. Yeah. I'll ask an AI to generate a video like this.
We will have a separating marketing campaign like this.
Yeah. This is so good. Right. Awesome. So, thank you everyone for watching us live. We will keep getting back on this live, bringing more inspiring stories like this on a week on week basis. So, do subscribe to this channel. Please do comment on this video about whatever you have learned, whatever you have genuinely felt, and whatever questions you have. Please do comment out there. And the most important thing you should do is please share this video with your friends, with the people whom you think will have the greatest impact out there. Because there'll be a lot of people who are looking for these kind of answers, or looking for this motivation, looking for these kind of stories. So go share this video with them. Uh, a lot of changes can happen in their life, right? So thank you so much, Dharani. Thank you so much, my
Thank you.
team, Suma and Sharon. Thank you so much for hosting this. Thank you, everyone. Student for life.
Student for
Yes, see you
life.
again. Yes. Woo! Wow.
Wow.
This is so good, man. I mean, just